Welcome back to Wingot Plays Nomifactory. At the end of the last episode, we were progressing towards getting Applied Energistics unlocked, and we were looking to make the Emmy Chest, but we were limited by these pure crystals of the two different quartzes and the fluix crystals. As I said, it would probably take about half an hour or so for those to grow in just a water puddle. But some of the eagle-eyed of you who may have a bit of experience with Applied Energistics or this mod pack may have spotted something that I was working towards. 4 dark steel bars, an LV machine hull, and charged Certus quartz crystal. There is something called the crystal growth chamber from AE2 stuff, which, if you take a look as well at these crystals, in the red text it even says made in a crystal growth chamber, and so it is very much suggesting that you go with that method, but then it tells you that there's other options as well: photogenic insulator and throwing in the water. But I had dark steel bars, charged Certus quartz, and LV machine hull in my inventory at the end of the previous episode, because I was already working towards making this crystal growth chamber. The crystal growth chamber we're going to need, first up, let's just build a temporary system over here. We'll put an energy acceptor, and the crystal growth chamber can go right next to it. I don't know if that's getting power, but we can easily find out. So what we need is pure Certus quartz crystal, pure nether quartz crystal, and pure fluix crystal. Well, we've already got fluix on us, so let's make some fluix dust and combine it with some sand. Dust, I didn't actually look, but I'm assuming, there you go, it's just in the macerator. We've got infinite sand, so if we run over here, we can just grab a whole stack and then combine these two together to make fluix seeds. As I said, we could throw these into the water here and then wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and then if we grab that one hadn't even progressed by 0.1% in that time. Here in the crystal growth chamber, it should go about 1% every half of a second, maybe, and so it will make these fluix seeds into pure fluix seeds much faster. Then pure nether will just be nether quartz, and pure Certus is just normal Certus quartz. So over here we've got stacks of, let's do 8 of each for the time being, especially since we are limited on the amount of nether quartz that we have here. And then macerate those. Oh, my mistake, I made 4 fluix, so let's just do this. Sand and nether there, and finally Certus. All of those. There we go. Where did they go? There. Perfect. So we now have 16 of each of the types of seeds, which will now make the 16 of each of the 3 types of pure seeds. Awesome. And the power's not even going down. It's using, it doesn't even seem to be using enough to really register. And this will be finished in just a sec, at which point we can make this Emmy Chest. Now, the Emmy Chest in and of itself is not all that useful, but what it does is it gets us started in Applied Energistics. Crystal growth chamber, we've made all the seeds. Awesome, that one's done. Emmy chest. Let's move you out of the way. Do I have everything I need? No, I'm going to need a storage crate and some dark steel blocks. Let's get the dark steel blocks cooking up. We're going to need... Oh, actually, no, it's blocks, isn't it? So we're actually going to need more dark steel than we've got here. We're running a little short on steel as well, but for now, let's just convert 16. We're also short on obsidian, which, as I said before, is something that I'm going to need to automate, get some blazes up and running. But for now, we only actually need one piece of dark steel, and that should be fairly simple to change out, as well as which I can also set it up. Well, I can also manually go over, and at the moment we've got 12 stacks of silver. We don't need huge amounts of silver. 12 stacks, probably enough for quite some time. We've even got 5 stacks of gold there. So we can swap out the ghast when we need something else more than silver. So we'll probably swap this guy. Yep, swap this guy out in order to get rid of the silver ingots and have something else being made in its place. And that's just for now until we get more power. But once we have a better power, a more complete power system, we will just have all of them running at the same time. The main limitation, though, on upgrading our power, we're currently vibrant alloy energy conduits, which can move 8,000, but we are already moving 7,000 RF per tick in those. The next tier up here, end steel energy conduits, can move 32,000, so they're 4 times better than what we're currently using. But they use these end steel wires, and we've not yet made end steel. End steel requires dark steel ingots, which we've already got, but do need the obsidian, and end stone dust, which, if we look at the recipe here for end stone dust, you can get it from all of the end ores, but the one way that you can get it without already having end stone is with some sandstone, some extraterrestrial matter, which we've got 32 stacks of that. We're actually voiding any extraterrestrial matter that's being made at the moment, and an ender pearl to make 8 end stone. And then each of those makes 1 end stone dust, makes 1 end steel ingot, which makes 2 end stone wires. And we need 2 of those for each vibrant alloy energy conduit we want to upgrade to get 3 end steel energy conduits. So to replace our current system, we would need at least a third as much end stone dust as we have of those vibrant alloy cables, and that's going to require ender pearls, and we don't currently have a surplus of ender pearls backed up in here. Yes, we do have downstairs ender pearls backing up. Here we've got 21 buckets of ender pearls here, which each ender pearl is 1 bucket's worth. So that it is backing up. We've got 64 resonant clathrate here. It's backing up, it's just taking time. And so once we have easy access to ender pearls, at that point we can look to make end stone and upgrade the power system again, and then expand the deep mob loading further. But for now, we can swap things in and out in order to get the resources that we need. So I'm counting the expanding the deep mob learning to produce resources, which is what it wasn't doing before, as done. Meanwhile, we were working on making the Emmy Chest, and for that we needed dark steel blocks. So here we go. We already made enough dark steel, but we need 2 dark steel blocks, 2 of those, and we need a crate, which we've got lots of crates just sitting here, and then that will make us an Emmy Chest. Perfect. Now if you put the Emmy Chest here, you can see that it needs a storage cell. You put a storage cell into any of the sides here, and it will get an inventory. So we've made a Emmy Chest. We are going to need to make a storage cell of some sort. That's the Emmy drive. Here we go. To start with, we'll just make a 1K. It's the smallest size available, so let's just make one of those. We're going to need an Emmy storage housing. We need fine red alloy wire, which is easy. We need electrical steel plates, which is easy. We've already got electrical steel here. We've got red alloy ingots, and we've got electrical steel. So we need 4 electrical steel plates. And then I'm sure that this is just going to be double running the red alloy. So here in the wire mill, if we put the red alloy in, we get 4 red alloy wire. But then if we run that again, we will get fine red alloy wire, 4 of them per individual red alloy wire. So we get 8 of these for each red alloy ingot that we put in. Pretty awesome. And there is our Emmy storage housing. Then if we take a look at the 1K storage component, that's going to need more red alloy plates. Well, we've just used up the last of our red alloy plates, so we're going to have to make some more. Red alloy plates are copper plus 4 times as much redstone. Well, red alloy ingots anyway. So if we put 16 copper and 64 redstone, that will make red alloy ingots. We need 4 of these, 4 plates. There we go. And plates are 1 to 1, so that's nice and easy. We also need 4 glass and a primitive circuit. I made 16 primitive circuits before, so that is not currently a limitation, but if we're going to be making lots of these cells, we're probably going to want more than just that 16. But for now at least, we have everything we need to make a storage component, and then those 2 items combine to make a 1K Emmy storage cell. Awesome. That, I think I rushed through the component, so let's make us an extra one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and glass and a primitive circuit, because we're definitely going to want well more than 2. We'll probably want more than a stack eventually, but for the time being, a couple will be good in order to help demonstrate. I'm going to put away this spare red alloy wire and dark steel ingots, and even the spare quartz that we don't need. There we go. Try to clear out our inventory a little bit. And where was it? It was in the compressor. That should then get us 1 more of these, and then we also just need 4 more electrical steel and 1 red alloy ingot. Perfect. Even 1 red alloy ingot. Oh, actually we've got spare there. That's fine. We don't need to make any more fine red alloy wire. We just need the 4 electrical steel plates. And it will be very nice when these machines are upgraded. I think when you upgrade it to the next tier, it works faster and things like that. If not, I'm sure that there's machines that work faster at the higher tiers, or have higher quantities, or those sorts of things. Anyway, so where are we? There we go. So digital storage. If we put that storage cell in there, then we get a chest here that can hold 63 different items. So if we now just throw these various random items in there, we've got a search here. So let's say we want the energetic, or we'll grab over here let's grab everything we can fit in our inventory and shove it here into this drive. Perfect. And you'll see the blocks of redstone. We had 4 stacks here in the chest, but they compressed down to a single stack here in that drive. And if we look at the drive, we're using about a third of the drive's storage space, and we're only using 29 of the 63 different types that it can store. So it stores things as data, and it can store on each disk, on each cell, up to 63 different types of items, but it also has a total quantity limit, which if you have a single type of item in there, it can store a lot more than if you have 63 different types of items, but it's sort of complex the way that math works out. Effectively though, it's a convenient way to just store everything into a single interface where you can see it all. If we take that cell out though, we don't have access to it. If we put a different cell in, we don't have access to that stuff. That stuff is on this cell here. And if we store stuff in this drive, in this cell, then obviously we won't have access to it when it's out of the system. But the next tier of Applied Energistics would be to create this Emmy drive. The Emmy drive has 10 slots where you can put these cells, and then you can have 10 different cells, all of which can be accessed through the one system. The Emmy Chest we've already made. Primitive circuits we already know how to make. Aluminium plates we're already making that in the blast furnace. But we do need this emitter, which looks like it's just a bit of electrum and a primitive processor, plus another quartz copper cable. That's all pretty easy. And the sensor is basically the same, except it uses a bit of aluminium plates. So we should be able to make the Emmy drive without any difficulty. But if all we have is these cells sitting in a drive, we won't have access to them. So the last thing, the thing that actually makes Applied Energistics very powerful, is you have these things called Emmy terminals. I'm going to, in order to demonstrate the Emmy terminal though, I'm going to need to make a piece of Emmy cable. To make that, I need pure nether quartz crystal. Easy. We've got that over here. And put that into a wire mill. And that, combined with some fluix dust, so we need 2 fluix dust in order to do this 1-to-1. Fluix dust there, quartz fibers, 2 fluix dust plus 2 quartz fibers makes a Emmy glass cable fluix. Now if we take this is basically a cable that is used to connect the Applied Energistics components and systems. If we take the drive here and move it over to here, you can see that it is still getting power even though the energy acceptor is down here. But doubly so, the data itself also moves along this wire. If we put the Emmy terminal here, we can also access anything that is in the Applied Energistics system, which is pretty awesome. So once we make drives, we will be able to have 10 of these cells available here in a single terminal. We can have multiple terminals spread out in various areas. We can have the storage downstairs or hidden away and don't even need to access it, and we can just access it through the terminals. And that is just the first part of what's so awesome about Applied Energistics. For now, I'm going to start trying to make an Emmy drive, and then we will be able to say that we've started our Applied Energistics 2 storage, and it will also help out with finishing the base move, because I'll be able to take this Emmy Chest with an NG Acceptor and a battery, and I'll be able to put all of the items that are still just happen to be left over in the old base into these disks and condense 63 inventory spaces worth of items into a single cell, which will make it very convenient to then move everything that's remaining over here into the void. I will see you after I've made these various things that the Emmy drive is going to require. I'll see you then. Welcome back. So I went to make a couple of Emmy drives, and some of you punters might notice that there was a bit of an issue with making a pair of Emmy drives. Specifically, the recipe for the Emmy drive, I've made the emitters, which required me to get some primitive processors. Fine, we've made those before. A bit of nether quartz, bit of electrum, copper cables, easy. The sensor here needs a few aluminium plates, and otherwise the same components, easy. The here we go, aluminium plates and a primitive circuit, no problems at all with this recipe, except that it uses Emmy chests. We've already made one Emmy chest, but when I made that, I did say that there was something that we were short on. If we look here, we've got all of the quartz crystals that we need, we've got the small storage crates, we've got a couple of illuminate panels, we've got quartz glass, but we also need 2 blocks of dark steel. And dark steel requires obsidian, which only a minute ago for you guys, I said I had only 7 left of. And so in order to make 2 blocks of this, which need 9 dark steel ingots each, I would need 18, which obviously I don't have. If we look in here, I only had 7. So, given that, if we take a quick look over at our stores here, our gold was up to 1,500, 24 stacks. Actually, I think it was the silver, the 26 stacks. I have repurposed the Ghast. Yes, I've taken the Ghast model out of here and put in the Blaze model. We've still got the Guardian model, which is still making gold ingots, but we don't have any more silver ingots coming in for the time being. That said, we've got 26 stacks. We're going to be fine. We can probably pull this one out as well, get rid of the gold ingots because we don't need them for the time being, and put in maybe this zombie model, which will allow us to get access to iron ingots and build up a large supply of iron ingots is probably what I'll do soon. But we've got the blazes here. But why do we have the blazes? I don't need blaze rods. What I need is lava. And this here, magma blocks. You get half a stack of magma blocks per pristine blaze, which in a chemical reactor, 1 magma block becomes 1 bucket of lava. Awesome. So we've got here a full loot fabricator with 64 by 16. If we take a very quick look, that there is over 1,000 buckets of lava. Pretty awesome. So then what we need to do is we need to pull those magma blocks out of the system, which we've already got them here on the black. The magma blocks can only be used to make lava. They can't be used for any other purpose. So what I might do is, instead of putting them into a drawer, is I will just set it up so that they automatically come in to a chemical reactor. I've made the machines that we're going to need already. So if we put a chemical reactor there, it's getting power. Also, this line here, this conductive iron cable that's providing all the LV power, I'm pretty much overloading it because it can only run 4 machines simultaneously, and I'm going to have to replace that at some point or split it off into multiple voltage transformers, but for the time being, it'll suffice. Anyway, the chemical reactor here, if we set it so that it needs an input, it is going to need, I'm going to need more item conduits now that I think about it. If we set that, where is it? There. If we set this chemical reactor to get the if we insert only basic filter magma blocks into here, and we set the priority up, we change it to black channel, which is the export channel that's going to the storage bus, and then insert, we should start seeing magma blocks coming in here. Now that there's magma blocks coming in here, they will create lava. And then the next step would be we just want to convert that lava into obsidian. The lava will be useful for other things later, but for the time being, what we really need is we really need obsidian. And so here in the fluid solidifier, 1 bucket of lava plus a block mold makes obsidian for only 16 EU per tick. So it's available at the level that we're at the moment. The last thing we do need to do is configure that chemical reactor to output its lava into its side there. And if we set that, if we hit that side, set it to fluid output, the fluid will go here into the basic fluid solidifier, and then this will slowly but infinitely make obsidian at a rate of 1 obsidian block per 51 seconds. So it's slow. In order to get a full stack, it's going to take just short of an hour, but it will at least build up while we're not here. And if I need to, I can grab some lava, manually make some obsidian, and then mine it out. The other thing we can do, so this here, this netherrack producing chemical reactor uses lava. And so I've moved the ender tank here so that we can extract this spare lava, because this is filling up with magma blocks, and it's making lava 6 per second. So it's making 9 lava for every 1 lava that this is using. We could probably make another fluid solidifier. I probably will, to increase this throughput, but even still, we would need quite a few, more than this conductive iron cable can even keep up with, in order to use up all of the lava that this is consuming. And so what we'll do is we'll set it so that this fluid is being put into that ender tank. And at that point, we're no longer dependent on that pump that is eventually going to run out. We've got, so long as we have magma blocks, there will be lava coming in. And so long as there's lava coming in, we've got netherrack. And an infinite source of lava available wherever we're going to need it. So, very cool. We've got obsidian coming in, and all I need to do now, given that I've just set that obsidian generating block to extract on the black color, which is feeding into this draw controller, if I put this obsidian here, it should extract any obsidian that it makes into that block there. Pretty awesome. That obsidian combined with some normal steel. In total, I've got 8 dark steel plates here. I'm going to need another 10 in order to make 2 Emmy drives, in order to make 1 Emmy drive actually. So we're going to need a fair bit more of this dark steel in order to get the first Emmy drive. And so given that that is going to take 10 minutes to make all of the obsidian we need, I will pause and we'll be back as soon as that is done. And with that, it has been a little bit more than 10 minutes. In fact, quite a fair bit more than 10 minutes, given that over here I've made 44 dark steel ingots. But that will get us what we need in order to make 4 dark steel blocks, which then will allow us to make 2 Emmy chests and 2 Emmy drives. Awesome. Now if we connect these Emmy drives into the system, we can place the cells that we have here into these drives and make that storage available to the rest of the Emmy system. In fact, if we take this one out of that chest and even get rid of the chest, we can put that cell. Without that cell in there, the system has nothing in it, but we can put things into it because it will now go on to these cells here. If, however, we put this cell that already had stuff on it into the system, then we get access back to everything that we already had. So, very cool. We can now have 20 cells worth of data in here, each of which has 63 different types of item that it can have. The other thing that would be convenient though would be not having to run over here whenever I need, well, we've got iron in there, but whenever I need gold or silver and grabbing a stack. What we can do is we can set up a storage bus connected to this drawer controller, which will then feed in and make the drawers accessible to the Applied Energistics system. That's something that I'll be looking to get set up fairly soon. But the other thing is, at the moment, whenever we need a new loot fabricator, or in fact, the Emmy drive itself requires these primitive circuits. The primitive circuits can only be made in a crafting table, and they are a little bit tedious to make. Over here, I've got the primitive circuits. They just need a diode, a couple of red alloy cables, and a couple of wrought iron plates. But they also require 4 primitive circuits. Each primitive circuit requires 2 resistors, a coded circuit board, 3 red alloy cables again, and a couple of vacuum tubes plus another wrought iron plate. The resistors then require 2 copper wires, 2 paper, and a coal dust. The vacuum tubes require 2 paper, 3 fine copper wires, glass tubes. So, and I've not even made this one for a very long time, but wood slabs and 2 rubber, I am getting low on that one. So when I've got when I make 16 more primitive circuits, I'm going to have to make that component again as well. And so it's very manual, having to go through the steps of making all of these various components and then using up so many of them for each primitive processor. What I want to do then is get rid of that manual process and turn it into an automatic process. But in order to turn it into an automatic process, you can see there's these different circuits within the various processes that you can do. The primitive processor here is the first tier. That can be used to make most, at least the machines that we've got access to at the moment. But there's also the electronic processor here, which is the second tier 2 circuit. And then beyond that, there's the refined and the microcircuits, which we'll eventually get to. But this electronic processor, to make that, needs 2 things. One, it needs to be made in an assembler. It's only 16 EU per tick. Easy, no problems there. We could make an assembling machine and get that to then make the electronic processor by just using a bit of tin and these various components. However, if we take a look, the transistor is just rubber sheets, silver wire, aluminium foil. We can make all of these things. Fine copper wire resistors, we're already making those, and the fine copper wire can just be made in a wire mill. The resistor can be made in its own assembler, just with some more fine copper wire and some coal dust. But the electronic circuit here, that's the second tier 1 circuit that replaces the primitive circuit. And to make that, again, fine copper wires and resistors, easy, we just looked at those. Capacitor, the capacitor requires rubber sheets, tin alloy, and fine silver wires, and can be made in a assembler. It requires this thing called a polyethylene sheet, which to make that would require polyethylene, chemical reactor, combining various fluids together, and we'll have to look into that in future. But the more important step, as far as I can see, is the phenolic substrate. To make that, again, it's a chemical reactor. It's these coated circuit boards that we've already got, but we need phenol, this fluid here. If we take a look at the Quest book, it says the pyrolysis oven here is the next multi-block we need to make. And the main function is to increase the fuel values of wood and coal while producing potentially useful weight products. Turning coal into coal coke will not only make it more useful as a fuel, but will also produce phenol. So this is the pyrolysis oven multi-block is what we will be looking to make in the next episode. And probably while we're at it, we'll look to make a storage bus to connect those drawers into the system, and then compacting all of our storage into an Applied Energistics system, and probably making some more of these glass fluix cables so that I can make more terminals. So that, for example, there could be one just right here, which means that I can just access it here rather than having to run over to this terminal. I could also put a terminal over here, and when we're working in this area, we don't have to run all the way across the base to get access to everything. Very cool, looking forward to it, but for the time being, I think that will do, and we have some plans for the next episode. Let's just take a look at our clipboard though. What do we have here? We've started AE2 storage. Perfect. Create pyrolysis oven. That's a job that we're going to have. We'll add on here storage bus AE2, and we will add on create, what was it called? The electronic circuit? Refined micro primitive, electronic circuit. So if we pop here, electronic components. There you go. Let's condense this down a little bit. We'll say elect so that it shows. Perfect. And then if we close out of it, there you go. Create electronic components. Awesome. So that is a couple of things we've added to the to-do list, but otherwise we've started Applied Energistics storage. Very happy with that. I'll do this base move in between episodes, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay healthy and happy, and I hope to see you then.